T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. Go, 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 go.
Hey everyone, and welcome to today's live stream. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I had some nice, well-deserved time off, and now as I'm kind of prepping for the new week, I was working on one of my older out-of-production laptops, just running through. It's a great one for testing. And I just ran a bit of an update on Windows, and I thought, hey, what a great opportunity for me to show a few tips and tricks that I'll work with Windows 11. And full disclosure, I've been doing IT and tech for decades. I'm very versed in Mac and Windows, but my normal day-to-day go-to, because honestly, you can do everything with them, is Mac. I really love the Mac ecosystem, but I'm deep into my Microsoft 365 administrative world, and a lot of that dives into my Windows devices. So, and it's a good example today is while I'm live streaming, and by the way, my name is Matt Berry, and if you've ever, welcome back if you've seen any of my videos before. Welcome if this is your first time, but you can find me at one of my three locations, either Elevated Awesomeness, where I will talk about health, wellness, and just my day-to-day struggles with motivation. Matt Berry Tech, this is the channel I'm going live to right now. And if you like corgis, I've got everything for you. It's nothing but corgis. I just have to remember which direction I have to point to. But this gives me today a really good chance to test out just bringing in or streaming in a Windows laptop live. And what I'm doing is I do have a Windows laptop. It's a bit older, so some of the things I'm going to run through today might chug a little bit, but I have it going out through an HDMI cable and then an HDMI capture card, which is going to my Mac. And then I'm streaming this out through Ecamm Live. So it's a great way to test. And so walk through this with me, everyone. We're going to try a few things here. So here is my Windows 11 screen right now. And just to kind of make it a little bit easier, and plus I want to test it out. Right now I'm in one of the screens up here. I've got an Artlist subscription, so you can hear a little bit of music while I'm going to drop the system audio a little bit. And the great thing is, I didn't drop it enough for me though, but that's okay. So as we walk through this a little bit. Let me get a little organized. I think, and I can even switch this view too, depending on, I can move myself over to the right or to the left. That works out. And I got to drop this audio in my headphones anyways. There we go. We just need subtle music. And this is just a random playlist, by the way. I put into Artlist. Here, let me. I'll try and make it bigger. Hold on. Can I? Yeah, make it a little bigger. I just put a keyword of motivate on there. This is not promotion or anything for Artlist. This is what I'm using. And yeah, so this allows me to do royalty-free stuff. I think I didn't do this during Black Friday, but I'm sure, you know, during this time, Cyber Monday coming up or whatever, there's probably a discount. But here we go. So one of the first things to do here is I always typically like to, a quick access area. I'm also in the Mac realm, right? So if you have an iPhone, if you're familiar with iPhones, I don't know if there's something similar with Droid phones, but we've got a little quick access or mini little control panel right here, which I find very useful for a lot of items. Number one, if you're anywhere, if you want to do a quick access to try and find new or connect to Wi-Fi, or if you got to turn your Wi-Fi off, you could do that right there. If you have Bluetooth devices and you want to manage them, you can quickly access them right through there, or turn off your Bluetooth if you're trying to troubleshoot stuff. And airplane mode. This is not only for airplane mode, by the way. There are times if I am traveling and if I'm connecting on a hotspot or Wi-Fi, or if I just need to like quickly fix my network connections, I'll go through and drop it into airplane mode, and that'll drop my Wi-Fi, that'll drop my Bluetooth, and then I can just take it out of airplane mode and it will reconnect. So that is a quick way. It's the same thing with a phone too. If I get off the airplane and if I'm traveling and wherever I am, that cell signal doesn't pick up right, that's a helpful tool. Let me adjust this zoom here while I'm looking at things. There we go. I'm gonna bring it out a little bit, move it up and adjust so you can see me a little bit. I'll have to adjust it on the other one. Energy saver. This is if you're on the go, and I will show you some additional power saving options or power performance options, honestly. But if you're on the go, this thing's on battery and you need to preserve as much battery as possible, you can put this into battery saving mode, similar to an iPhone if you're doing low power mode. So let's say if I didn't want to move this. Here we go. So let's say it's nighttime, right? This is one of the underused features. Whenever I talk to different users, they're like, I never knew this existed. But if it's nighttime and you're doing a lot of browsing, you can turn on night light, and that will remove a lot of the blue light to help you in the evenings as you're working with different web pages, even if you're in dark mode or whatever. But this night light feature is super helpful. I'll turn that back. I'm going to add some more blue light back. This is a really good spot if you need any accessibility features. I won't do some of these right away, except for the color filter. If you just want to remove color from your screen altogether, take a look at, there you go, right? It just removes all the saturation completely. You can do live captions. You can do a magnifier if you want. It's not going to work out really well on this live show, but if your screen and monitor provide for any brightness controls, you can do that right here to raise and lower the brightness temperature. If you need to do anything with your speakers, this would be your default, whatever speaker it is. If you just needed to, like, let's say the speaker's right over here and you're like, nope, click, I want to mute it. Click right there. It would mute right away. And by the way, I am checking my comments. I'm not as diligent as I should be. I'll be honest with you. Hold on a second. Not as diligent as I should be, but pop in the comments. I will pay attention to that and I can drop it in if I need to. So let's say if you need to fine tune anything with your sound, right? This is how you could break this down. Number one, the first thing is your output device. It's showing me two speakers right here because technically I have two speakers. I have the built-in one and then I have whatever is included going into my capture card. Okay, that's that HD60X. So if I wanted to change that and not have it go out into this HDMI source, which I really don't need it here right now, I'd be able to move it over there. And then that way you can say, okay, especially if you're on calls and you have another monitor plugged in and you wanted to hear sound coming in from one device, especially the one that's nearest to where your microphone is. So the next biggest thing is others worry about like, oh my God, my microphone. Because this is what I'm working with is your system sound. And I gotta be honest with you, I have to skip to the next song. This is not doing it for me. I don't know if that will or not, but I just skip songs. So then we can go into the sound mixer, and that'll take us back into more of the settings. But this really refines what you would need to do for anything microphone related. Okay, so if you have multiple microphones, let's say you plugged in a webcam and it has its own microphone, or let's say you have a specific add-on microphone and you wanted to use it. Well, then that way you could use this to determine what your system settings are for your microphone. Your output, that's your speakers. The input, that's the right microphone. And then however you set this up, unless you change it otherwise, most things, Teams, Zoom, will refer to your system settings for the speaker and microphone, and this is where it would pull that from. Let's go ahead and jump back over here. Well, another quick way of getting to that in the control panel is if you see right here, and also it'll show me, hey, you know, this is my battery level. I'm fully charged because I'm plugged in. But if I want to go back into that settings, right, to see the all settings, there's multiple ways of doing this, but I'm just going to click onto the gear and it's going to take me back here. Now, one thing I am going to do, because I noticed I planned on doing this in the beginning. However, I'm going to go back into accessibility here. I got to change this music. Maybe this will work. And I might just flip different songs here and there. So if that messes with everybody, I'm sorry. I'm getting used to it. All right. So I'm going to go to for accessibility. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this mouse pointer. I'm going to make a little bit larger because it'll be easier for me to point to things so you guys could recognize what it is. So I think that was a little too big. I'm going to put it, let's say maybe around a 4. For presentation purposes, I think that'll work just fine. Let's see. I think that'll work. Also in accessibility, I'm just going to jump forward right here. This is where you can adjust some of your text size if you like, hey, right now I've got readers on. These are single vision glasses, by the way. These are single vision glasses, by the way. While I do that, I'm going to find some different music. I'm just going to click on home. Bump, bump. I literally don't know what's going to... Oh, wait. I actually have sound that's attached to this. That's hilarious. So, if you need to adjust the text every now and then, this is where you'd wind up doing it. So we're going to go, and I did, here we go. Some new songs. Whoa, not that one. But we could adjust the text size right over here if you need to. Okay. So system, this is where you got your basic stuff. You can go through your notifications. We're going to go to power and battery right now. That's what I just used. There we go. Let's see. Okay, so if we go to energy recommendations right here, this will go through and start the whole, hey, everybody, turn on dark mode. This is how you can improve it. This is like a hand-holding love fest of setting up your energy requirements. But if you just want to go in and like set things up the way you'd want to. So you focus on your power mode first, okay? when you're plugged in, and this is how you could look at it, the default is going to be balanced. So let's say if you're grinding and you need more power on your laptop, the fan noise might kick on. That's just the warning. But what's going to happen? It's not going to stay in balanced mode. It's going to give you the best performance it can do and not necessarily cap you, if it's afraid it's going to use more power. Okay. And then when you're on battery, you can use balance, or if you have an older laptop that you find the battery just kind of, when you really kind of work away from power, it goes down a little bit longer. You can use best power efficiency. So that way you can work in a better mode. It'll probably drop things down a bit, but that's how you would wind up doing that. I'm just going to leave this one at balanced and then best performance while we're plugged in, because I'm going to need it. This is where you could adjust your screensaver and look for your battery usage. If you plug this into a docking station and you need to plug in multiple monitors and you don't necessarily want your laptop plugged in or open all the time, you can go through here right now and change the buttons. The power button, if you hit the power button, does it go to sleep? Does it turn off? Let me tell you something. There's a total difference, and I'll get into that in a bit. But close the lid. So what you could do is when you close the lid, you could just say do nothing, and then that way you could work. If you have an external keyboard, mouse, and another monitor, 2 monitors, whatever, close the lid, nothing will happen to you. You can still work. Okay? That's pretty handy. So I'm just going to leave it right over there. But the power button, a lot of times, there's sometimes I need to freaking shut it down. And I don't necessarily, I can close the lid, it'll go to sleep, but I'm not necessarily going to push the power button and have it go to sleep. I'm going to push the power button because I want it to power down. But the best method, honestly, is when you need to restart the computer, just restart. Or when you're done and you want to travel, shut down and then travel. Windows laptops do not wake up as well as Macs. Sometimes if you put them to sleep and you're at the home office and then you wake it up when you're at a hotel, it gets confused. So sometimes the best thing, just restart. Legitimately, that is probably the best way of doing that. So, okay. Power management, but if you need to go to your some of these things are really self-explanatory. Okay, time and language. When you get into your time and date, another thing too is that you want to make sure that your time, especially if you're traveling, make sure that you set your time zone automatically and set the time automatically. So that way, if your laptop does go to sleep in another state and wakes up another time zone, once it gets on the internet, it'll recognize that and change it. So if you're in Arizona, you put it to sleep, you wake up in New York, it wouldn't stay Arizona. Sometimes it's effective that way, but and if you don't have that available, you might have to go into the permissions and just turn on the location availability, that kind of thing. So yeah. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, is your Windows Update. And Windows Update is sprinkled all over the place. Periodically, this is a good place to go. If your laptop software doesn't necessarily have vendor-specific software to update this on a regular basis, your Windows Update will do this. And that would be like firmware, any type of software updates, Windows Defender, or let's say you have certain devices that are plugged into Windows. This is what will happen. It'll help it out. I always recommend to, get the latest updates as soon as they're available, especially bug fixes. Sometimes you can kind of wait a little bit if there's a big update coming through, whether or not you're going to click install and restart on that. But a lot of times you want to get those updates available as soon as possible, especially if it's a critical one. You don't want to be a couple months behind on some of that. So every now and then, just where it'll try and check itself, sometimes it's just not as smart. So get in there, force it, check for updates, and see what it is. I just honestly, before I did this video, there was an install for the latest version of Windows 11. It was the 24H2. So this is normal. Every now and then you will get some cumulative updates that pop up or Windows updates. So a lot of times it's just best to let these do their thing, okay? And when you run into a situation like this and you've got them and they're downloading, they'll download in the background. And if they're one of those where they could install and complete without you restarting, they'll do that. If not, then what'll wind up happening is it'll go through and it'll download first, then it'll install, and then if it requires a restart, then it'll pop up a little notification down in the notification area that'll say, hey, restart. But at this stage right now, when it's doing downloading and installing, you can still work, right? So you could just go through and minimize that, and we'll get back to it later. All right. So what was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah. So this area right down here at the bottom, and I'm glad I made this mouse cursor a little bit bigger, and I've got to change this song again. I don't know. The music sets the moods. When I have a weird song coming up, I just don't know what to do with it. It's like after a while. But anyway, so this is my taskbar down here. And this, you've got your Windows icon. You click on here, and that's going to pop up your start page. And this is an area where you can keep things handy or items that you would make accessible all the time. Okay. So, let's see here. What do I have on here? Let me get a good example. I know I've got Teams here somewhere, right? So Teams is a good one. So let's just go ahead and put Microsoft Teams. And when you click any one of these, right, just right click on your application. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? You've got pin to start. That's where we were. I'm going to pin that to the start. And then, especially if you access Teams all the time, I have a preference. I do. I access Teams quite often. I'm going to pin this also to the taskbar, and you'll see that it'll pop up right down below. Next song. And so that way it's handy and available whenever I need it. So let me go ahead and click on the Windows Start icon again. And typically, if you have a little Windows flag key, you can just hit that and it'll pop right up, right? See what's that? And then, so you'll notice that Teams is right here. So you can actually drag and drop and move things and adjust your area a little bit. Let me move over the windows. Let me see if I can do this. Kind of handy. Boop, 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 boop. I'll move this down out of the way. You don't need to see the Artlist. Just hear the art. Okay, this is kind of mellow. All right, so so now when we go into Windows, right, I can go ahead and just left click and hold any one of these icons, and then I can move them around however I'd like, okay? And then if, let's say, for whatever reason, you don't want, you just want a folder that has your productivity apps, right? So I'm going to take Word and I'm going to move it over to Excel. That'll drop it into a folder. I'm going to take PowerPoint. I'm going to drag it right in there too, okay? So then I can take this and I'm going to edit the name, and I'm just going to say productivity, product-iv-ity. I'm glad I could spell. But now instead of having, if this works out for you, then you could go through and just have a folder, you know, just sorted with the icons that are more helpful to you for productivity. You click on it, you find it, you open up Word, for instance, and there we go, right? Perfect. So now we'll just go ahead and close this out. And then, and here's an example here. I'm going to go ahead and close out Teams. This is one of those type of icons or apps, excuse me, that when you close it, its normal default method of what it's going to do when you close it. It's going to go into your notification area. So your notification area, and this will only pop up on your main window. If you have multiple screens, whichever one is your main window, this is what it's going to show up on. But your notification, where it says show hidden icons right here, this little up arrow for your notifications, these will show your applications that are running, typically in the background, for your notifications and everything else. If there's an application that you opened up and you're like, I'm still seeing notifications for it, more than likely it's right over here. And so this is where your OneDrive, or for anything like, for your Windows security, if there's anything to enable, this is your Bluetooth. This is the old school Bluetooth. This will show any devices that it has connected to it. I actually have a Intel driver assistant loaded over here, so it always runs in the background. It shows that I've got some updates available. But I'm just Teams will also run in the background. So when you have those type of applications that when you close it, it still runs in the background, yes, you can change the setting to prevent that. But if you just want to clean it out, you can go ahead and close Teams out of the notification area, and there you go. And when you do that, you're not going to get any notifications. Beep, 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 hey, someone's trying to chat with you. So also, on to the next song. I like that mellow one for just a bit, but I don't even know which one that was. Oh, this is Festive Frolic. It is December. It's festive, it's holiday. Okay. La, 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 la. All right, so let's say you got an icon on your taskbar you really don't care about, like Microsoft Store. Just right-click it and unpin it from the taskbar. You don't need it there anymore, okay? Now, here's a little interesting tidbit. Let's say you've got a productivity desktop. You got your you've got your, oh my gosh, there we go. Browser, you've got Outlook. Let's get this stuff going here. I'm not going to get a lot of stuff going, but all right, I've got my nothing but corgis item. Perfect. Let me go to drafts. Do I have any drafts? Perfect. I don't need to show everything that's in my stuff. But I've got that there, and then I'm going to open up file. Okay, so let's just pretend that this is a busy desktop, okay? So let's say I want to have another desktop where it's not as cluttered, okay? And so I'll go and open up another browser here, and I'm just going to go, let's say, you know what? Let's do this. I'm just going to go to... This is like the boss screen here. So let's say I want to, go to a nice, interesting website. Oh my God, let's see. Will this work out? At nothing butt corgis. And I spelled it correctly too, right? So this is like boss mode. So let's say during the day, you're just watching corgi videos all day, right? There are my other channels, by the way. Woohoo! Matt Berry Tech, 72 subscribers. Just a few weeks ago, by the way, I was at 40. So, keep up the good work, everyone. So let's say you're watching a good corgi video, right? And then your boss comes over like, well, what are you up to? And you just go through and switch to your real work desktop. You're done. Or let's say, I wanted my, I wanted Outlook. I wanted to organize this in a different screen, right? So let me just go ahead and put it right over here. I want it on the side, and I want my File Explorer to be back over here. So I can go over to OneDrive. I can check my drive. I can check my OneDrive status over here. Let me go to all my files. Let me switch to another song. This is Streets by ANBR. Anyway, so here we go. So that's one way of managing stuff like that. And some pretty useful tips, right? And then we've got, Copilot over here. So one of the next things I'll show, probably honestly the last thing I'm going to show you, is let's say you wanted to do, one of the things that I do often on my Mac is screenshots. I screenshot stuff all the time. So what do you do on your Windows laptop if you want to screenshot something, right? You would do Windows Shift S. Windows Shift S. And that should pop up the Windows snippet area. The default, see this little cursor right over here? The default would be a photo. Wow. Let me go to the festive frolic a little bit more. There we go. Festive. So the default would be a camera shot, a picture, a screenshot. Let's say you've got some text that you want to capture. You would go ahead and then just snip. Let's see. I just want this part right here, right? Snip. Where did it go? Go into your file explorer. That would be located under pictures, under screenshots. And then here we go. Boom. One cool thing we could do, we're not going to open this up in Clipchamp. We're not going to back this up into OneDrive, but we can edit the photo. And let's say, I mean, not saying I wouldn't want to do this, but let's say if I was doing a demo here and I wanted to remove my nothing but corgis. So let's say the background wouldn't work. Let's just do the eraser tab. And let's just go ahead and let's say I wanted to make this for others, right? Not just for me. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take my Nothing But Corgis development logo off there. And let's just go ahead and erase that. And I've got my headphones in, so I'm not hearing this older laptop. I'm sure the fan. Oh yeah, the fan's cranking. But what it's doing right now, if you had a newer Windows laptop within the last year or so, it wouldn't go. Wah! But this one did. The sound effects. I should put the sound effects on there. But there we go. So that's what it went through. It gives you the ability when you edit the photo, you can actually delete any of those things. So let's say you just wanted the logo for Copilot, but you didn't want the actual text. See ya, Copilot. Just really taxing this laptop. Thank goodness for a good performing microphone, let me tell you. There we go. Oh, cool. All right, wiped out. So I'm just going to go ahead and save those options. I'm going to save it as a copy. It's going to make, I'm just going to say, copy, copy, copy. All right, perfect. Let's pick another song. We're going to random karaoke. This is September Story, Cinematic. Okay, perfect. So the next one's going to be, let's do Windows Shift S again. Wait a sec. There we go. So then other options here. So if you click down here, you can choose a rectangle, window, full screen, or freeform. But I like the rectangle. We're going to keep it. But the first one was a snip, and that's a picture. The next one is a screen recording. So right here, we can actually record the screen. Okay, so what we need to do is just say, well, I'm going to go and record the whole thing. So here we go. I'm just going to, right here, granted, I could have just done full screen on this one, right? And then you can choose a microphone or not, but I'm going to just say no. So I'm just going to start this whole thing, start recording. And then I can say, well, hey, if I'm going to go to my desktop and then my documents, and then, oh, let's go ahead and actually go to Nothing But Corgis. We're going to find the right questions. Let's see. Suggest common questions that can be asked to get a retrospective started with my colleagues about the history of, wait for it, corgis. There we go. That sounds like a fun and engaging topic. You know, more people need to realize that. Here are some questions to get your retrospective on the history of corgis started. Perfect. Origins, da 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 da. Okay, great. But I'm going to go ahead and stop that screen recording now. Perfect. Now it just drops in the snipping tool. So now I've got a nice screen recording. There's no audio attached to it because I turned that off. But this is a great way for you to just create a simple screen recording from Windows. And this is an older laptop. This is handling it without a problem. So yeah, that works out. So hey, I am going to stop this song. I added a song earlier today on that, and I just don't even know why I did it. But anyways, that was it. Thank you, anybody who watches this video. I hope that you might have found some of these tips helpful. But more importantly for me, it's a great way for me to just get practice of presenting this, to be able to share a Windows screen, and then put in some music and everything else. It's nice. So practice makes progress, everyone, not perfection. So it's all about getting the stuff done and making the positive steps forward. So today, when it comes to tech, that was my positive step forward. And other content like that I want to put up, would be honestly on my Elevated Awesomeness channel. So feel free to check that out, Elevated Awesomeness, where I would actually go and talk about those steps to move things forward. Matt Berry Tech is where you watch this one today, where I love to take time and talk to you about a lot of my passions when it comes to tech. And you know I have this channel, nothing but corgis. Help yourself, enjoy corgis galore. So everybody have an awesome evening. I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving holiday and enjoyed some of the Black Friday deals. Have a great, awesome rest of your day. Bye, everyone.